What is more fun than a shaker card? And our new snow globe die offers just the perfect excuse to make one. I'll introduce all the dies we'll be using for today. I'm going to use the snowman scene for the snow globe. The sentiment is going to be on the pierced flags die set. I've got a floral element with the Poinsettia additions. Here is the snow globe, the star of the show, and this is done in two pieces, so I'll show you how to use that. And here's the classic Poinsettia, which between the classic Poinsettia and the additions, you have all the different matching sizes, and then there's another set of open petals that will match up with these too. Okay, pop those around, and let me just give you another couple of items we're going to be using here. The snow globes have been designed to work perfectly with our new treat cups. They're exactly the right size for that, and that will give you a little extra room, and it's a little bit harder, so you can post it and whatnot for your shaker card, so it's perfect. I'm going to use a little bit of acetate, and I've got just a little bit of the double-sided adhesive sheet, and this is the perfect thing I was talking about, little itty bits of leftover bits we're going to use on the snow globe. And we're going to be doing a bit of embossing with the Twinkle Twinkle embossing folder too. Okay, so we're going to start there. And what I'm going to do first is take a piece of white card, and I'll give you a quick measurement here. This is 6 inches by 5.5 inches wide. So what you want to do first is to take the outer cut edge for your snow globe and cut an aperture. Okay. Pop that into place. Let's get a little piece of tape there. Give it a quick run through. So we're going to cut an aperture. There we go. And we can use that for something later, but that's the part we'll need for right now. So here you have the aperture for your snow globe. So the next thing you want to do is a bit of embossing. So bring back our plate and sandwiches for this. I'm going to use the Twinkle Twinkle embossing folder. Pop that in there. And you want to do your cutting before you're embossing, and that way you won't squish it. If you were to cut this afterwards and run it back through, you'd have a little bit of a flattened spot. So okay, so I've got a nice aperture cut. Okay, and one of the things I want to show you is I'm just going to add a little bit of extra detail with the color cloud. I'm using the Chic Gray Blue. This is one of Phil Martin's colors. A little bit of a smoothie, and it's a very, very soft color, so it's not going to, jump out at you. It's just enough to add a little bit of color. And I'm just going to go through and pick up the tops of those stars in that Twinkle Twinkle folder ever so lightly, adding a tiny bit of color there. Okay, pop that to the side, and we're going to come back to that in just a few minutes. And the other thing I wanted to do was add a little bit of a nice edge to this. So the way you can do that is bring over piece of copy paper, and I'll just do one side. I've got one already finished. I'm going to run a bead of Dry's Clear Glue all the way down the edge, and of course you're going to hit those stars, and it's going to have a little bit of a bump to it when it's dry. I think it just adds to the look of it. We're going to give it a little bit of a frosty edge with our ice snow. Okay, so I'll show you what that's going to look like. So you've got that really pretty little twinkle, that lovely. Now I've got one I've done ahead of time, so let me show you what that looks like. Put that down. I've done all 4 sides on this one. Isn't that pretty? And it does add that little bit of a frosty look to that. Okay, so moving forward, what we want to do next, I've cut the snowman out, and I've just used the inner die. There's an inner and an outside circle. If you want to back that with a different color, you can cut the circle to go behind it. But I've just used the inner die to have my snowman. And what I want to do is bring that same Chic Gray Blue back in. So I've got a piece of card here, and I'm going to go back to my ink and ink up the center section here, and that will sit behind that snowman. That should do the trick. Now, if you want that a little deeper, more intense color, what you need to do is heat set it and then add another layer into it. And we do want to heat set it because we're going to be gluing to it, so you want to make sure it's dry. There we go. And I think I'll just use a little bit of spray glue on the back of my snowman. Pop that down. So you can see you've got the really soft aqua color coming through that. So what I want to do is create the shaker card next. So I'm going to go to my treat cup, and these are the exact same size as your snow globe, and they have a little bit of an edge lip to them, okay? So I'm going to bring in my Snow White micro beads. These have a really nice look to them, and I'm just going to pop a little bit in here. Let's do a tiny bit more. There we go. Love having that little bit of extra bit you can shake. You could even add in a little bit of ice snow if you wanted to do that. I think the easiest way to do this is to add some glue around the edge of the treat cup. Get it nice and coated. There we go. And encapsulate that with a piece of acetate. Give that a second to glue. And I don't even need to trim that. That'll go in behind my aperture, so I'm not fussed about that. But I want to put that over the top of this too, okay? So I'm going to add a little more glue to the top edge, outside of the part that will show. Pop that over my snowman. There we go. Give that a second. So you can see I've got a nice little shaky bit going on. You can see the snowman really nice through that. So I'm going to bring my aperture over next, and I'm going to seat this over this, all right? And that's going to be, needs to be trimmed just a tiny bit. So let me take off the top part of that. There we go. And I'll put a little bit of glue around the edge here. Okay, and I'm going to bring this piece in as well. In fact, we will pop some glue down on that just to make sure it stays where we need it. Put this piece over the top. Now don't forget you've got a little bit of room where you're going to add your snow globe. So center it best you can. That looks pretty good, like that. And now I've cut the snow globe out of an aqua so it will show up. Now this part's open. I decided I wanted to add a little bit of glitter to that, so I've cut a piece of sticky adhesive. And this is one of those just little leftover bits. And I just eyeballed it. You can even use the die to kind of trace around the inside of it so you know exactly what size you want. Pop that right over that. And we will bring in a little bit of glitter jewels here. I'm going to use the Diamond Snow. In fact, let me tidy that. Put that right into there. There we go. Just adding a tiny bit of bling to that snow globe. There we go. So you've got a really pretty little area coming through where the holly is. So now we'll glue that into place. Just add a bit of dries clear glue around the edge and on the base here. And that will fit right over the top of that and fit back into your aperture, exactly where you cut it to begin with. Okay? So it hides that lip. You've got the embossed part covering any little edge that might show from the lip as well. So now we can bring this forward. I've got a little bit of mounting foam. My basic piercing with the aqua color brought back in. Matches the snow globe. Pop that into place. Now I want to accessorize with some of the poinsettias, and I've cut all of these out of a white gloss card just to give them a real pretty little look to them. So we'll start with some white tulle and add that in the corner, and I've just tied a tiny little knot in it. Put that right down there. And I've got the satin ribbon out of the ocean blue. which matches really nicely. We'll add that on top. There we go. And I'm going to put a cluster of 3 of the flowers here. So I'll put the largest one over the top there. And I've got the next size here. We'll pop this right to the back, just covering the edge of the snow globe right there. And I've got a smaller one here, using the smallest in that edition set. There we go. Pop that down. And I've stamped my sentiment. I've cut it out with the Pierce flag. I've done a little bit of inking with some Aqua ink there. And I've added mounting foam on both ends so I can give it a little bit of a movement in the middle here. And I'm going to just pop that up and over here and finish that end, because we don't want that sitting exposed, with another little flower. There we go. How pretty is that? I think anybody would love to have a shaker card that's that much fun. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and you'll look for us on our YouTube channel soon.